Jacob, thank you to the Red Cloud team for the invite. Always a pleasure to present here. Forward-looking statements we'll take as read. Semafo overview. We're a 400,000 ounce producer solely based in Burkina Faso. The slides are moving up here, but the slides aren't moving on the screen. The slides are moving here, but they're not moving there. There we go, there's Burkina Faso for you. So you see in the east of the country is our Mana mine, in the west of the country is Bongo. Both operating mines, both roughly around 200,000 ounces. Both high grade. Mana's been operating for about 10 years, and Bongo just came into commercial production in September of last year. Our development upside, right below Mana on the Hyundai belt, is a thing called Bantu. We bought our neighbor, a small company, a property called Karen Casso, which is our top development project at the moment. And also, right below Bongo, about 100 kilometers to the southwest, is a property called Lubanga, and we'll touch on all those. Corporate snapshot in terms of shares outstanding, about 335 million, fully diluted, low dilution. The price is a little bit below that right now. Our market cap, we run the business in US dollars, around 1.2 billion. Currently, as of June 30th, about 130 in cash, 90 in debt. So we're net cash about 44 million, enterprise value around 1.2 billion. You can see the distribution of shareholders roughly split, almost a half in the US, about a third in Canada, and the balance Europe and other. And we're predominantly, even for a decent sized company, we're predominantly institutionally held at around 90%. This is one of my favorite charts. We call this the money slide. And you can see each year from the next 5 years, you have Mana in gray at the bottom, you have Bongo in blue, and then you have the combined all-in sustaining, the black line running through it. You can see roughly over the next 5 years, it's going to be producing not quite 400, a little over 400,000 ounces at an all-in sustaining cost of just a little bit above 700. And in the yellow bubbles for each year, you can see the operating cash flow that we're going to be generating for those 5 years. To sum it all up, it's a little over 1.2 billion. All these numbers are US billions. So decent cash flow over the next 5 years. The reason we can do that is we have a very decent reserve base. You can see by property, Bongo is a 4 gram open pit basically. And mining a 4 gram open pit, you should be able to make money at it. We have 2 pits at Mana. One's called CU. You can see the open pit, the underground portion, and the other pit at Mana is called Wona. And you can see the respective grades. All totaled, we were 27 million tons at around 3.4 average grade, gives us 2.9 million ounces. Those are in reserves. For 2019, you can see the split between Mana and Bongo. Consolidated, we're looking between 350 and 380,000 ounces for the year, with all-in sustaining costs around 685 to 735. Below that, you can see the numbers that are included in the all-in. We include the capex, both the sustaining and the stripping of the pits. You can see the numbers, and there are some amounts not in all-in sustaining. We're going underground at CU, which we'll touch on. That's 41 million, and at both properties, we're putting in airstrips. And we've got some mill optimizations to do at Bongo, some total of 8 million. And we had a little bit of a pit slide, or a pit wall failure at Mana, and those mining costs during the Mana shutdown were 22 million, so those numbers are all there. At Semafo, we really do focus on long-term shareholder value. It seems kind of, when we prepared this slide, it seems a little weird to say some of these things, but after 20 years in business, there are only 334 million shares outstanding. All the per-share operating metrics are all tracking positively. Again, it sounds a little odd, but we have positive retained earnings in the balance sheet. We've had no blow-ups or M&A write-downs over those 20 years. Our use of debt is very prudent and very project-specific. As you saw, we were net cash and we continue to be net cash. We maintain for our shareholders 100% exposure to a rising gold price, no streams or hedges or other. The team, I think the average senior team has been there a little over 12 years, so we've all worked together, we all know each other, we all work well together. And production guidance met or exceeded the last 10 or 12 years. And when you look through our financials, compare us to others, we do have conservative management compensation with a strong link to the share price. In terms of growth strategy, both internal and external, very important for us, very important for any miner. At both of our operations, both Bungu and Mana, life of mine extension, it's going to be the best bang for your buck. You're going to find more ounces right beside the plant. Those are the profitable ounces. I talked about Bantu a little bit. That's our next development project. And hopefully that's our third mine. Touch a little bit more, and same for the Banga. In terms of external, we do stay on the lookout for the larger accretive add-ons. But those numbers are tough to make it work for shareholder value. But we do keep our eye on them. The interesting one is we're going to start taking small investments in small little companies. So we'll put $1 million into a 10 million market cap. The goal of those, we'll do a portfolio effect. Over time, we want that to be our mine number 4 in about a 3 to 7 year time frame. So won't get anybody excited until 2 or 3 years when those projects start to shape up. But that's where we do see a lot of interesting value now. It's hard for the smaller companies to finance these days. All that while we maintain our financial discipline, we got to maintain health and safety, and important to us is a very strong balance sheet, net cash. Always important, and our shareholders maintaining their exposure to gold price is very important to them. Bungu, our new flagship mine, you can see some of the stats there. Reserves at 1.4 million ounces at 3.9 grams. Again, it went into commercial production in September of last year. It's tracking very well. The 5-year average, some stats, about 200,000 ounces a year, and all-in sustaining costs of $539. You can do it at $1,500 gold. It's about $1,000 margin, so that's pretty good. It's a pretty good project. As I said, so Q4 was the first quarter, and then you can see Q1 and Q2. Again, you can see the ore process, but what makes this a moneymaker is the head grade. You can see it 6.3, 6.5, 7 grams. Recoveries are 2% ahead of schedule, which is basically free money, which is fabulous. And you can see that the ounces produced in Q4 was about 53,000, and we're tracking a little over 60,000 for the past 2 quarters. Again, cash costs, operating costs, in and around the 500 mark. So very profitable operation. Again, you can see the graphical representation. A couple numbers missing, but again, over the 5 years, a little over 200,000 ounces in production, with all-in sustaining costs about $539. So again, great numbers. Mana, our second mine, Mana went into production in 2008, so it's a little over 10 years old. We joke it's had an 8-year mine life for the past 10 years, and it still has an 8-year mine life today. It's produced a little over 2 million ounces. Back in September, that's the milestone. And again, it's still producing 200,000 ounces. We're going underground at one of the pits, and it's been a great producer over the years. Again, we'll touch on the pit wall failure. This happened a little while ago. You can see the length of the pit. That's about half the pit. It's about 2 kilometers long. Just to give you an idea of scale, there's another 2 kilometers to the west of it. As you're looking at the slide, you can see the area in red. This is where the pit wall happened. These things happen in mining, and we thought it was important to tell everyone so they can put it in perspective. That's a graphical representation of where it is in the pit. You can see the benches. The benches are about 20 meters high, so it's about 60 meters high, and it's about 130 meters at the top, 150 meters at the top. As we speak, that's all been cleaned up. We're doing a pit pushback there, and we're working with our geotechnical consultants, Golder, to determine why this happened, and we've got a good handle on that. And by the end of the year, we'll know how far we have to do the pit pushback to make sure that it doesn't happen again. There's a picture of the CU pit. You can see from the top to the bottom, that's the air ventilation going in. That's roughly about 230 meters at that point in the pit. Just to give you an idea of scale, so it's going in the bottom of the pit, the CU underground. And the graphical representation, the lime green is the pit you just saw, and the yellow background is the underground development. The area in black is where we are to date. That's about 5.1 kilometers. You can see, if you can focus on the red star in the middle. It's small. That's where we're going to produce the first ore in Q1. We'll get a little out in Q4, but to get to the 2,000 ton a day ramp up tonnage, it'll take us about the end of Q1 to get that complete. But everything's been to our satisfaction. Ground conditions, grade control, drilling, everything has been at or above. The mining contractor's been doing great, so it's been working out well. And you can see that the total, although it is underground, the total depth of all that development is 200 meters, so it's not especially good for that operation. Again, on time, on budget, 5.1 kilometers to date, 5.6 kilometers to go in total, so another 500 meters to go. It's not terribly, we're at the striking distance to the end, and all those milestones have been reached. It's really just getting things ramped up to 2,000 ton a day in Q1. Targets for Mana, similar to Boungou. Again, you can see not quite as profitable, but over the next 5 years, about 200,000 ounces a year at all in about 881. Still not too it's not Boungou, but it's not too shabby. Didn't show up so well. That is a slide. Our consolidated exploration budget for 2019 is 32 million. You can see the little gold mines in the east, little gold mines in the west, and we'll talk a little bit more about those. Boungou, you can see the circle, the gray pits. That's where we're mining currently. The area in yellow is where we're going to be doing explorations in the last half. About 56,000 meters of RC. And the whole goal is to get some delineation drilling so we can get some stuff into resource and ultimately into reserve for next year. Just a schematic of the Boungou, the outline in blue, the dark blue. You can see those are the outlines of the pits today. If you look at A to A prime, it shows you a cross section, and you can see the bottom red part is where we're mining. Obviously, the strip starts to become prohibitive, but we're starting to see some of these parallel structures come in, and so that's what we're going to be testing in the last half of the year. At Mana, in terms of H2, the plant is at Wona, where the star is in the top, and so you can see roughly all those stars are 20 kilometers away. Siu is about 10 kilometers. There's a hollow from Siu to Wona today. Making hollows in that part of the world is not terribly difficult. We've got some interesting things to do for Fina South and Yahoo, and we've got some targets at Pompoy and Rock School. Yaramonko is just sitting outside our permits office. It's Rock School's operating mine. Bantu, this is our real excitement internally. You see the square on the left-hand side. The little square at the bottom is our Bantu permit. The permit outside of it was a small company called Savory, which we bought last year. Altogether, it's about 50 kilometers north-south and about 25 kilometers east-west, about 1,250 square kilometers. It's a decent-sized land package. Our Bantu property had about 360,000 ounces on it. Karen Casso had another 800. That's about 1.1 million to date. And we've made a few discoveries. And we had an investor day back in June, and we put a 2.5 to 3 million ounce target for resource for the end of next year. And we'll show you how we're going to get there. But it is 100 kilometers south of Mana, so it's going to be a standalone plan. It's not possible to ship that far at those grades. So if we look at the Bantu zone, that's where we have the initial resource. Just to the west is a thing we call Bantu proximal zone. It's a decent grade, not quite as big, but the exciting discovery happened at what we call Bantu Nord, which you can see it sort of looks like a crow's foot in red. And again, you see the 8A prime cross section going through it. We'll look a little bit more about that. There's just a close-up of it, but you can see on the right, when you look at the cross section, it is, it's not 5 grams like we have at Bantu, but 90% of the assays are all above a half a gram. It's all mineralized. The strip's going to be low. It's pretty continuous. It's almost all oxide. That's going to be a very good pit, very easy to mine, and good for the operations guys. That's just a long section looking into the pit. The warmer colors is grade times thickness, so warmer colors are higher grade. You can see some of the intercepts that we've had and where some of the holes are going. Bantu still remains open, so we're obviously testing it to its limits currently. You can see there Bantu, Bantu Nord, and Bantu Proximal. North of that is a thing called Penny in Sikongo. Again, this is not too far away from where we think the center of gravity for this thing is. It's sort of 8 or 9 kilometers to the north. And you can see on the right some recent results from Bantu Nord, the Bantu Zone, and both Proximal and Perry and Sikongo, some nice grades and some nice widths. So this. We're quite confident this is going to be an area we're going to be mining in for the next 10 to 20 plus years. Karankaso is the portion, and we just announced the increased exploration there. We're going to be testing not the existing pits. The existing pits are in the stars, but the red circles are what our geological team has identified as potential new pits. So we're going to be testing those red circles in the back half, or in the second half of this year. Nabangas are a small property just south of Bungu. Again, it's a long section. We're going to have a PEA out in Q3, and Q3 is almost over, so you expect it early next week. We'll see if it meets our internal economic criteria and size criteria. Summary: Semafo is a pretty simple and clean, straightforward story. You can see what we do have: a good 5-year outlook. Strong cash flow, over 1.2 billion of operating cash flow in the next 5 years at 1,300. You can obviously do a quick calculation to put that at 1,500. Net cash now and in the future, simple low-cost debt. We can repay that any time as we wish. We maintain a very conservative capital structure, and we think we've got our third project in hand with Bantu, in the Bantu Karankaso, and we'll see what happens with the Manga. Again, what we don't have: hedges, gold loans, streams, anything complicated about it. No off-balance sheet financing and no unreported dilutions. Very, you can not be a gold player. You can pick up our financials and you can analyze our financial position quite quickly. Again, we can do all these great things, produce all this great cash flow, but we need to continue to maintain our social license. And we have a thing internally called Semafo Foundation. It's an internal group that has been operating for more than 20 years. And the goal of this is that one day the mines aren't going to be there, and when the mines eventually shut down, we want to leave a vibrant business community such that the people aren't left with nothing to do. And so you can see some of the projects we've undertaken. There's sesame farming, there's a sewing center, chicken farming, beekeeping, all things we might think of as very basic, but in that part of the world, very important. Most people in most communities, if they don't work at a mine, they're mostly subsistence farming. There's a little bit of cotton export, but there's not much else in the country in terms of economic development.